We are live. What's up, my friend? Abby here, and welcome to the Write With Me live stream. First things first, tell me if you can see me and hear me okay. I have to make sure that my microphone, my audio, and my camera are both working. So type in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me. And welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. It's so great to see all your smiling faces in the chat, and I'm really looking forward to writing today with you guys. I have been writing quite a bit over the past few days and working on several different projects. So today I'm going to be writing my lighthouse book, as I refer to it. And I'm really excited with how it's coming out. I've been doing heavy duty edits and revisions on this book this summer, and it's coming along good. I'm really excited about it. And I was actually working on it all this morning. So now I'm getting into like the actual rewriting part. I have to like rewrite a scene I've already rewritten. So yeah, lots of rewriting, but that's what I'm gonna be working on today. So can everyone see me? Awesome. Everyone can see me and hear me. Fantastic. Yeah, so type in the chat and tell me where you're tuning in from and what you're working on today. I would love to know what you are showing up to write or edit or rewrite. So many writers in this community all over the world, and it's amazing because like every time we show up to write together, everyone's working on something very different from the next writer, and that's just so cool to me. It's like we're all together in on this, but we're all on different paths, and it's so exciting. So tell me in the chat where you're from and what you're working on. I see writers from all over the world: Minnesota, San Diego, New York. Awesome. Maryland, Philippines. So cool. Welcome, everybody. If this is your first time here on a Write With Me live stream, here's how it works. We do writing sprints, 25 minutes each, and with short breaks in between. So like 5 to 10 minute breaks in between to chat about our stories. And during those breaks, I answer some questions that come up in the chat, and we like take a little breather and then go back into the next writing sprint. So we're going to do 3 sprints total, which will bring us to around 2 hours. Usually it's a little bit less than 2 hours. But if you can't stay for the whole session, I totally understand. Just do what you can, do your best. The important thing is to show up for yourself, okay? Word count doesn't matter. Progress, how much progress you make in each session doesn't matter. Any progress is good progress. And you've already done the hard part by showing up for yourself on this live stream. So we're all going to hold each other accountable and write something today, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just a page. So we're going to get into it in just a minute. Looks like you guys are working on a lot of different exciting projects. Fantastic. Hopefully you have something yummy to sip on while you write. I have a nice iced coffee here, and I have my music ready to go and my timer ready to go. So I'm going to set my timer for 25 minutes. And I'm also going to start a writing sprint in the Discord community. So if you guys are not in the Discord, definitely fix that problem because it's a great, vibrant community of so many writers, and you will just love it. You'll love it. And you can get access to the Discord by joining my Patreon at any level. And the link is usually in the description box below, but I think I forgot to put it there this time. But it's patreon.com/Abby Emmons. And when you join on any level, you get access to the Discord community. So I'm going to start a sprint here. And we'll set it to start in 1 minute. Okay. So I just set a sprint in the Discord for 25 minutes. I'm going to join it. I'm starting with 0 words because I'm rewriting a chapter. And yeah, I'm going to set my timer here and get my story up. I have it right here, my Scrivener project. And I'm going to dive into rewriting this scene. So I see everyone hopping on the sprint in the Discord. Fantastic. Otherwise, you can stay here on this live stream and chat in the chat box. But the cool thing about the Discord is that we can kind of continue the discussion and continue this community and interaction and the accountability outside of the live streams. So definitely something worth checking out if you really love these live streams and you love the interaction. I think you'd really love being in the Discord community. So let's see. I think that's going to start in like 30 seconds. So I'm going to get my other timer ready, and we're going to start in just a minute. And then in 25 minutes, we'll break and I'll chat with you guys and answer some of your questions. Okay, let's start. There is timer number 1. Tell me how it went in the chat. Let's see if the Discord will run out. Oh, yep, it did, and I didn't even notice. Honestly, I deleted more than I wrote. But it looks like I wrote like 290 new words. I'm gonna go with 290. As you can tell, probably, I was doing a lot of cutting and editing and moving things around. So a lot of times it doesn't feel like you're making progress when you're doing that. But I am making progress. Okay. Looks like you guys had a good sprint. I know the alarm always scares some of us. It's like it's impossible to avoid. Oh, okay. Looks like you guys wrote a lot of words. Fantastic. 700, 279, 600, 900. Great job. Fantastic job, everybody. You should be super proud of yourselves. So we're going to take a small break, and I'm going to answer some questions, and then we're going to get into it again. Let's see. This is a good question from Heidi. Do you have any tips on writing the first page? I've just finished planning my book and need to begin writing, but I don't know where to start. I have so much to say about the first page. Honestly, it's a very crucial moment. Obviously, it's like that make or break moment where you have a very short amount of time to grab your reader's attention. And that's actually why I made an entire live training on writing the first chapter, in which I talk about the first page, first scene, you know, the opening hook, basically. So definitely check out that live training. If you haven't seen that already, you can find that on my Patreon. And that in that training, I talk about how like you really have to think about the kind of the marketing principle of like bounce rates. Like you probably hear that a lot if you're into like blogging or if you have your own website. Basically, it's the term to describe like how quickly somebody leaves a website after going onto it. That is the same principle that we have with the first page, right? When somebody opens a book for the first time, this is their first encounter with your story. And that has to be something that pulls them in. That has to be something that engages their empathy, right? And so, like I always say, the best way to engage your reader's empathy and make them care is to show us what's internally happening with the characters we're supposed to care about. Like, what is their internal conflict? What matters? Skip right to what matters, or skip right to the good part. Like, what's the good part? What's the part that you would want to see if you were a reader picking up this book in a bookstore, and what is the first thing that you want to see when you open the book? That honestly, it seems like such a simple question, but that can be a game changer. That has definitely changed the game for me when I'm writing. A lot of times I feel like, oh, I have to write something else first, or I have to set this up and I need some backstory. And then I think, what if I just wrote the part that I'm most excited about and I just start with the good stuff? And it almost always is the right decision. So that's another thing. But I'd also recommend, writing a few different versions of the first chapter and seeing what your beta readers think of the different versions and what grabs somebody the most. So the thing about the first chapter is like, you don't have to get it right the first time. Like you can always go back and change it. I've done that so many times. How do you write a filler chapter that doesn't seem like a filler chapter? Don't write a filler chapter. Seriously, what would happen if you didn't? Every chapter should change something. Every single chapter in your book should make something change, even if it's something that's small. If you need time to go by, can we just make time go by? Like the next day, a few days later, do we need to know what happens during that time? Do we need to have this filler? A long time ago, I wrote a lot of filler, and I realized after a while, like, this is pointless. Nobody cares. And if it's not changing things that are happening in the book, if it's not changing the characters or bringing them to a new place, then it's pointless. And it's boring. If it's boring for you to write, it's boring for someone to read. I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. So question whether or not you even need to write this filler chapter. Like, does it even need to be there? Sometimes it's surprising when you take something out that you think you need, and then you realize, oh, I actually don't even need that. It's better without it. So that's what I recommend. Let's see. Tips for naming characters. I usually keep like a running list of character names that I really like, and then I kind of just like go through that list whenever I need to name a new character. But my rule of thumb is like, don't make the names too complicated, especially if it's a minor character, because we're not going to be able to remember who this character is if you make their name too complicated. And not that you have to pick like really basic names, really popular names. Certainly your names can be unique, but I know it always frustrates me when I can't pronounce a character's name. It's just annoying. And and also, you should just pick whatever names that you personally like and are attracted to, and also kind of suit the character. But I try not to spend too much time on that. Even if I have to go back and change the names later, I'd rather just put a placeholder name and then come back to it later than like agonize over what name to give this character. But Scrivener also has a name generator inside of Scrivener. I talk about that in my Scrivener masterclass. So if you've seen my Scrivener masterclass, I talk about that. It's one of my favorite writing tools, because you can put all different filters on it for like name origin and like how many syllables, what letters it begins with or ends with. And it's a really fun tool. Definitely check that one out. Let's see. Oh, this is a good question. How can I make a minor side character have internal conflict even if he does not change over the course of the story? That's a great question. I think that side characters are so much fun to write about because you can play with different types of character arcs. And by that, I mean, like, some of them may be negative character arcs, some may be flat character arcs. Like, this sounds like it's a flat character arc and that the character doesn't change over the course of the story, which can also bring a theme to the story, right? What happens when you don't change? What happens when you're kind of stuck in your beliefs and stuck in your ways and you never really transform as a person? That's an interesting question to ask and explore as a writer and as a reader. So that can be a really cool thing to explore in your story. But as far as giving side characters internal conflict, but like not letting them steal the show, it's definitely okay to sprinkle it in. You don't have to reveal everything right away. You can just show us the signs, give us hints and clues as to what their personality is, what their beliefs are, and how their beliefs have maybe been shaped by events in their past. We don't need to go deep into their backstory or pause everything to learn everything that's happened to this character. We can just pick up little clues here and there. I think that personally is my favorite way to like pick up on the internal conflict of a side character. And by the way, again, I made a whole live training on side characters and subplots, and that one is straight fire, if I do say so myself. So definitely check that one out. That's on my Patreon too. And by the way, when I mentioned these live trainings, they were live, obviously, but you can go watch the replays. And when you join my Patreon at the live training pass level, you get access to the entire archive of live trainings. So right now there are 6 live trainings on there. They're all like an hour long and they're very in depth. like tons of value. I think you'll love it. If you don't have access to that already, definitely it's worth it. It's so worth it because there's so much content there. And I have them on character creation, side characters, villains, writing the first chapter. And I'm currently in the middle of doing a 2-part live training about plotting your story. So actually last weekend we did part 1 and it was really good. It was really fun to see you guys show up for that one. So many signups for that one. That was really exciting. And we worked on plotting the first half of your story. So if you didn't catch that, definitely catch that. And then next month, we're going to go into part 2. So all of that is available on my Patreon at the live training pass. And that's patreon.com/AbbyEmmons. So check that out. Okay. One more question, and then we're going to jump into our next writing sprint. Let's see. How can I add conflict in my first chapter? That's a question from Kate, and that's a great question. That is my favorite question ever. Adding conflict to your first chapter, as far as like internal conflict goes, is really about showing us what the main character wants and what they're afraid of, and what they mistakenly believe is true about the world or about themselves. That's really that's like the triangle of conflict, like the 3 parts that I always talk about. What is true? What do you want? What do you fear? And if you can show all of that in the first chapter, man, you're good to go. Like that's the 5-minute rule right there that I talk about on my channel all the time. This is the winning formula that you see over and over again. And I talk about this in my video on Disney movies, where I cross-examined a bunch of Disney movies and showed how the first 5 minutes encapsulates that triangle of conflict. And you can do this through many different ways, obviously, depending on the external conflict in your first chapter. But it's really all about showing us what this character desires, what they fear, and what they believe is true. And a lot of times what we believe is true, that's the fatal flaw, or the lie, or the misbelief. All those terms are kind of interchangeable. But when you look at it from the perspective of what does this character think is true, now that's a belief that kind of carries over into every decision they make, and even how they carry themselves and how they view the world and how they view every experience that comes at them, right? So we don't need to stop to introspect and like have the character, write this out or think about it in so many words, but it influences every decision they make. So I know that's a lot. It's a lot, and it's a nutshell version. So definitely check out the live training on the first chapter, because I think you'll get a lot out of that one. Okay, let's go to the next writing sprint. I've been talking too much and I want to get back into this chapter. So set your timers for 25 minutes. I'm going to get the Discord back up. Oh, I forgot to even put I did put my word count. Okay, we're going to sprint for 25 minutes again. I'm going to join with the same word count. Okay. See if I can make this chapter happen. All right. While everyone jumps on there, I think it's starting in 60 seconds. While everyone jumps on the Discord, I'm just going to leave this here. There's the link to the live training about the first chapter, because I know several writers just asked me about the first chapter, and I think that you will get a lot of value out of that training. So check that out. There's the link. Okay, so let's get into the next sprint. I'm going to set my timer. 25 minutes. And I think I need some music this time. So let's get into it. that was timer number 2. So tell me how it went in the chat. I know that went by really fast. It didn't feel like 25 minutes to me, but I guess it was. Okay. Great. Looks like you guys had a good sprint. I actually have no idea how many words I wrote. Because again, I'm deleting more than I'm writing. But I got like 238 in, it looks like. So we'll call it that. Wait, no, I was trying to say, I guess I did the wrong thing. I don't know. I honestly forgot how to use this sprint out thing in Discord. Okay, whatever. I did make progress, but I probably ended up deleting more than I wrote. So this chapter is just like reshaping itself a lot. So I'm trying to make sure that I am taking it in the right direction. Anyway, looks like you guys had a good sprint. Got a lot of words written. Fantastic. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to answer a few more questions, and then we're going to get into our third and final writing sprint. Sorry, spacing out there. Okay. Let's see. Oops, the music is still playing without me. Okay, let's see. A comment from Brendan. I'll say it on behalf of everyone here. You are amazing. We all appreciate what you're doing. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Okay, let's see. From Whitney. Any tips on writing 2 points of view? So much to say about that. But I did make a video about writing dual points of view. I made that video a while ago, but it is still relevant. Still some good tips in that video. And really, there's so many dynamics to writing with 2 points of view, but the most important ones, in my opinion, are character voice and pacing. So making sure that you're evenly spacing the events of the book and the character arcs, kind of evenly dividing it amongst these 2 characters, between these 2 characters, and also making their character voices unique so that it feels like you're stepping into a different character's shoes when you switch point of view. And character voice is definitely something that takes a lot of practice to get the hang of, but it's worth practicing for sure, because that's really what I find immerses me in a story with dual points of view. Is it has to feel like these are 2 separate characters, and they are 2 separate perspectives on life, and that means their perspective on everything is different. It means their word choice is different, the writing style is different, the way they think and process thought and communicate is different. And that can be very difficult because, of course, it's all you, it's all the author, right? And one of the exercises I recommend trying if you feel like you want to get more into sharpening and strengthening your character voice is to write 2 different characters who are very opposite each other in every way. So in personality, they're like very different. The way that they communicate, the way they think and process emotion, and writing those stark differences can really help you to really find the flow. And I always compare it to like learning vibrato in singing. That's like one of those things that you can't explain really. It's just like one day you've practiced so much that you just get it. And you're like, okay, I got it. That's how character voice feels to me. So it takes a lot of practice and time, but it's worth it. Okay, let's see. Hopefully that helps. Do you have any tips for planning out plots? Oh yes, lots of tips for that. And that's something that I talked about in my last live training. So as I was saying before, last weekend, I did part 1 of a plotting training in which we kind of dove deep into the whole process of creating a addictive plot for your story, no matter what kind of story you're writing. So that was really fun and very in-depth. Definitely check that one out if you haven't seen it yet. But in that live training, I shared about my personal plotting process. And I think probably the most important tip as far as like organization goes is to take all your ideas, like literally everything that you have, every single thought you have about this story or what could even work in this story. It doesn't even have to be good ideas. Some of them can be messy, crazy ideas, doesn't matter, any ideas. Put them all into a Word document or a Scrivener project folder, like a document within your Scrivener project, and then take a structure, like the 3-act story structure is what I recommend, and start just figuring out what goes in the beginning, what goes in the middle, what goes in the end. And this is something that any writer can do, even if you're more of a discovery writer or more of a pantser. It's okay. Like, you don't have to follow a structure to a T if that doesn't feel like something that you can get excited about. I totally understand. What I like to do is I like to start with a bullet point outline of like, here's the first few plot points, what happens in the first act, a few more of what happens in the second act, and then a few more of what happens in the third act. So I can just see kind of from a omniscient point of view, I guess, what are the major events and where do they go? And then I find places for the rest of my ideas. So that's kind of just a quick look at my plotting process, but I go more into it in the live training. Let's see. We're going to answer a few more questions and then dive into our last sprint. How can I revise without stressing out too much? And that's a question from Zine. Revising can definitely be stressful, but I think the important thing is to take it one step at a time. And I am a very ambitious person, so I understand how frustrating this is when you want to just make the whole book perfect as quickly as possible, but it's something that takes time. You can't just like plow through it, you know? So it can be frustrating because the process will probably take longer than you expect it to. But what I find is that in my own experience, when I start stressing out about revising, it's always when I'm putting like undue pressure on myself to do it really quickly, or like, just hurry up, you have to get through this, you have to, you know, quickly make this good, and setting deadlines that don't need to be deadlines. Those are things that stress me out. So I try to just kind of take the pressure off, make it super chill, make it fun, like these super chill live streams, you know, and just appreciate and respect that everything good takes time. And one step at a time is the only way that you can make progress. So just try to focus on the next thing and not the whole overwhelming big picture. Let's see. One more question, then we'll get into our next sprint. Let's see. I'll do two because this one's easy. Off topic, but what brand are your headphones and where did you get them? That's from Sophia. These are Audio Technica headphones, and they are the ATH M50X. And these ones are really nice. I like that they're like over ear. They also have like this fun swivel, like they swivel completely around. They sound really good. And these were actually, I got a pair of these a while ago for like doing recording audio engineer stuff, like my audiobooks and stuff, because they're just like nice studio headphones. But now I use them for just listening to music because they're nice for wearing all day, especially if you are wearing glasses, because a lot of times headphones can like press your ears into your glasses, into your head, and it's annoying. Anyone who wears glasses also understands the struggle. And these ones are really comfy, so I really like those. Definitely recommend those. Okay, one more question. I always have ideas for theme, but I don't know how to implement them to a plot. Okay, so theme is one of my favorite topics because theme is basically your protagonist's aha moment, right? When your protagonist has a transformative journey and they come to realize the truth about something, that truth is your theme. And it's fun to weave the theme into your story that way because it's kind of effortless. Like, you don't have to be preachy or put a pause on the story to explain your theme or go into your theme. You're kind of weaving it into your characters' experiences and what they come to realize, how they come to see the truth about something. So the way I like to weave theme into my story is by taking my theme and basically like flipping it on its head, making it a lie. So what's the opposite of your theme? Probably a lie, probably an untruth, probably a misbelief. And so that misbelief can now become your character's misbelief. And then boom, you have this character who believes this lie about themselves, and they go through the story believing it, and eventually through their transformative journey they come to have an aha moment. I talk about this in my 3x story structure video series, which is all on YouTube. Check it out. If nothing else, check out the aha moment video. But it is basically the effortless way to incorporate your theme into your story because it's all part of your character's internal journey. So I talked about theme a lot on my channel because I love it so much. I love this topic, and I think it's what makes your story matter, right? We're always talking about make your story matter. You always hear me saying that. I say that because I genuinely believe that is a very important job, and that's our job as writers, is to make our stories matter, not only to us, but to people who will read them, which then can impact the world on a greater scale, which is so incredible, like really amazing when you think about it. So make your story matter, and you can make your story matter through your theme. Another good place to, another good video to check out would be my video on crafting a misbelief for your main character. I know that sounds like it's off topic, but it's the method of taking the theme, making it your character's misbelief, and then weaving it into their journey. So check that one out. Okay, let's get into our third and final writing sprint. I'm going to start one in the Discord. And I'm going to join. I'm just going to join with my word count so I can actually see what I did, which is 1525. Okay, cool. Let's get into it. Where'd my timer go? And that was our third timer. Tell me how it went in the chat. Let's see, that sprint was pretty good. But again, I deleted more than I wrote. Because I'm trying to like go through the scene and I'm taking a lot out. So it's all good. Definitely a productive sprint. Looks like everybody had a productive sprint. Fantastic. 500 words, 344. I'm gonna just stay in the Discord because 1376. Because why not? Deleted 149 words. Actually, I deleted more words than that, but I added some new ones. So it's all good. Looks like everyone in the Discord had a great sprint too. Awesome. Very productive session, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. This was super fun, and I'm really excited because I'm making progress on this book, and I'm continuing to work on it every week, and we'll continue to do that and keep the momentum going until it is done. And I hope to share it with you guys very soon. So stay tuned for that and updates on that. Thank you guys again for joining me for this writing session. I hope it was productive and I hope you got some words written. It's okay if you didn't get that much written today. Don't worry about it. The important thing is that you show up for yourself and that you take the time to be creative and to nourish your creativity. So fantastic job, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. And everyone who is not in the Discord, if you're interested in joining the Discord and being part of writing sprints and just more community discussion and accountability, check out my Patreon. That's where you can get inside the Discord community when you join my Patreon at any level. So go to patreon.com/AbbyEmmons to get in there. And I hope to see you there as well. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next Write With Me live stream. I do these pretty much once a month. And yeah, it's really fun to all come together and get some writing done together. So thank you so much for joining me today. It was great writing with you, and I will see you next week. Until then, my friend, rock on.